Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th Colloquium, as we call it, or annual general meeting of the IUCN Academy of Environmental Law. I just want to briefly mention that our colleague Jamie Benedictson, one of the co-directors of the Academy, is at the moment an apology, but hopefully will join us a little bit later.
There'll be an attendance sheets being circulated.
Okay. He's just helping somebody out who's had some health problems and needed to go and get some medical advice. So we're hoping he'll be back to join us before the meeting concludes. There is an attendance sheet that will be circulated, and we'd ask you all to complete that so that we can have a full record of everyone who's been present today. I'm going to limit my opening remarks. There was an agenda circulated for the meeting under the statutory period of notice that we had to give you all, I think by about 15 minutes before the deadline, and that had with it the minutes of the last meeting of members of the Academy at Mqwane Beach Resort in the Eastern Cape of South Africa last year, where I recall that the weather conditions were extremely severe at the time, and I'm advised there might be some similar conditions coming later in the week here again. So for those of you who have those minutes in front of you, I will just at this point seek any comments or amendments or additions that anyone wishes to make to the record of that meeting. And if there are none, I'll just ask you to perhaps raise your hands to show assent for the adoption of those minutes. Is everyone prepared to adopt the minutes? If so, I can see a show of hands from those who were present. Thank you. That's got the formalities out of the way. In terms of today's agenda, it's going to make a slight change in that it seemed better in terms of giving you a full report on the activities of the Academy over the past 12 months to proceed directly to the report of the Secretariat and to then deal with issues around membership as well, all the different matters concerning membership. And then I'll make some remarks towards the end of the meeting, and we've got a couple of other matters to just pick up there, and there'll be an opportunity at that point also, as well as along the way, for you to ask questions and make comments in any way that you see fit. So I think what I'll do now is invite the co-director of the Academy, Yves Le Boutillier, to take us through the report on the last 12 months' activities. Thank you, Yves.
Thanks, Rob. And I guess Winnie will also join in at various points, and so will Jimmy when he comes back. So let's go through the PowerPoint. So we'll look at administrative matters, membership and member services, IUCN relations, publications, fundraising, and finance. And by all means, also Rob, join in when you want to add to it. Okay, administrative matters, governing board meetings and quarterly reporting. We had a meeting of the board this year. It was held on Friday. I'm pleased to say that the minutes of that meeting have already been circulated to the board members, and that there's also a list of action. Every time we have meetings with the board, we also have a list of actions, and I'm looking at Rob now and thinking there's almost 30 things to follow on. So various co-chairs of committees will hear from us soon as to actions that have to be taken as a result of the meeting of the board. And I also want to mention that this year the Secretariat did brief board members on a quarterly basis, so that I guess I can explain that we were able to cover a lot this year in a day. So I don't think there's much to add to that. Governing board elections. So there will be a partial election. So as you know, every year we renew part of our board, and there will be a partial election. The call will go out like in previous year. This year is going to be in November, and you're gonna have a few weeks each institution to put forward candidates. As you know, you can put forward. So candidates for each regions, and the election will be held in January. And the three regions that are up for election this year is Africa, North America, and the Caribbean, and Western Europe. And I think that I should also mention that we were very pleased to have two board members that serve altogether 5 years on the board, and I've been very active. That is Michael Kidd and Marion Peters. So they first served a term of 2 years, and then were reelected for a further 3 years. And both Michael and Marianne informed us that they will not seek re-election. So therefore, we will, actively invite, of course, candidates for all 3 regions. But I wanted to already give notice that we will need new board members for Africa and Western Europe, and we will, of course, ask the incumbent for North America and the Caribbean to run again, and of course, all 3 regions will be open for election. So. Well, I think at this point it would be good to have a good round of applause for Michael Kidd and Marion Peters for their. And it will be duly noted in the record. Anything to add on that? That's good. Okay. In terms of contracts, well, just to say that we were. Very pleased to renew Winnie Carew contract, and this year we hope we will be able to do that for many years to come. And I guess Jamie and I had talked before this meeting, and we want to say we want to really acknowledge the amazing contribution of Winnie this year. She really stepped up to the plate because, as you know, we used to have 2 persons at the Secretariat full time, and Winnie was able to. Really take over, I would say, completely, and did an amazing job. And I see that when I get emails all the time, and also in terms of her contribution, and also when I see the reports, frankly, we got from the various committees where they want to where the committees want to highlight how it's a pleasure to work with Winnie and her great competency and so on. So I just want to also. And in terms of contracts, also just want to mention that we also have renewed the contract of our webmaster, Christopher Guénon. So that's the other contract that we have for his services. And this year also, for the summer, we have also an intern working with us under a student summer contract. Website developments. Well, if you look at the website, you will have seen, I think, that this year we have tried to improve in terms of, I would say, in terms of display, in terms of how the information is conveyed to you. There is still more work to be done. We will examine with the technology committee set up by the board whether we can expand the platform so that there can be exchanges between various scholars directly on our website. So we're looking at possibilities to expand it, but already we have changed, for example, the type of server that we use this year, and I think it's fair to say that you can expect more changes in the coming year. And of course, we also invite all of you to, if you already are on the Directory of Scholars, to update your publications if needed. And for those of you who are not on the Directory of Scholars, to register on it. In order to do that, if you can send us an email too, and we can show you how to do that. Okay. Corporate matters. The 2011 annual report is under preparation. It will be completed this month. So that's underway, and that will be sent both to the IUCN as well as to at the University of Ottawa, which is hosting the Secretariat. And we also, as you know, have an endowment of $2 million that was set up through a donation by a donor, anonymous donor, $1 million and $1 million from the University of Ottawa. And under the agreement with the donor, we do also have to report every year to the donor. In terms of legal work, well, in the past we have changed our bylaws quite often. That's has been one of the growing pains of this organization. Well, I'm pleased to say that this year there won't be any bylaws changes. So could be some more in the future, but in any event, there was nothing of a legal. It could be that we will require some legal work if we were to look further into, for example, questions as to charitable status in the future in various countries. That's something that we are exploring. Committee liaison and support. Well, committee liaison support, we have a number of committees. We have, as you know, the research committee, the teaching capacity building committee. Those are the advisory committees of the board. We have then a number of administrative committee, the governance committee, the fundraising committee, the finance committee, the internet and technology committee. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, and the membership committee, of course. And the work of the Secretariat basically is to support the getting together of these committees. Most of these committees this year work either through email or Skype, and the Secretariat will continue to support the work of these committees in the future. Okay, membership, Winnie?
Hello, everyone. I'm always happy to see the members at this meeting because sometimes it's the first time that I meet the members here. Just like last night, I met with Professor Wilhelm. The last name is Berthaler, right, from Austria, and he's one of our new members. Last year, when we met in South Africa, I reported that we had 149 members. This time, I'm so happy to report that we now have 158 members from 49 countries in the world. And our number is still growing. I'm sure that by the end of this year, we'll have a lot more. The new members include the University of Eastern Finland, Yerevan State University from the Republic of Armenia, University of Deusto in Spain, Johannes Kepler University of Linz, Austria, and Noida International University from India, Georgetown University from the USA, and Seoul National University from Korea, National University Delhi from India, and the last one is our own from Canada, Université Laval. So we really have grown. I remember when I first joined this organization back in 3.5 years ago, it was about 65 members, and today we have 158. So it's really a great achievement for the Academy. And the next thing I want to talk about is the revenues from membership, that is our membership fees. This is always a bit of a problem, challenge for us, because it's not always we're able to receive all the payments, because sometimes, for obvious reasons, universities might have some difficulties, or sometimes, this process is slower. And we understand, and this year particularly is difficult for some countries because of the economic downturn. And we appreciate, members who pay, and in order to help the situation, we try to make it easier for members to pay by setting up an online payment by credit card. It has been working nicely in this regard, but having said that, still many members haven't paid. So I encourage you, if you haven't paid, please do so in the near future. We all at the Secretariat would appreciate. The money we use from the membership fees can support scholars, for instance, this year, because we did not get the support from UNEP, and hence we, from the Secretariat, allotted some money to pay for some members from developing countries who otherwise will not be able to join us. So I just want to let you know the importance of paying up membership fees. And the next thing I would like to talk about is the promotion of membership member events or member publications. I think a lot of you will have noticed that in the past many months, we have increased emails or correspondence from the Secretariat announcing member events or publications. And I encourage you to do so if you have any publications you would like us to promote for you, or your events for conferences, workshops, or whatever. And we will also post your information on our website. The website also has the members' events column or publications column from members as well. So whatever information you have, send it my way. I will be most happy to do so. And the newsletter, I just wanted to bring a copy to show you that this was our last newsletter. And we always look for information from our members, in particular new members, so that we can introduce you to the other members of the Academy. If you have any information you would like us to promote or to know, we would be happy to do so as well, and send the information to the Secretariat. I will be most happy to include you in our next issue. And also, we talk about regional reports. In the newsletter, we included quite a few reports from different regions. And we now have, as you know, 49 countries. So we should have a lot more reports from different regions. And again, I'd encourage you to do so if you would like to send some information to us. Thank you very much. Lastly, I think before I leave, there is a survey, I think it was given out to you. I would encourage you to submit this form back to us. I'll just leave it there, and I will collect them later on after the meeting. And that will help us to know how you feel about different things, and so we can improve. If there's anything we can help to improve these membership services, we'll be most happy to do so. Thank you very much.
Next, let's see. Did I skip? No. Membership. There we go. Okay, license agreement renewal. Well, we are really pleased to announce that following very cordial, very constructive discussions, that we have agreed with the IUCN to renew the license agreement with the IUCN for 4 years. There's little details to be worked out in terms of how our logo can be used by our members and so on, but those are really details. And we received, well, first we received the news that the agreement was renewed until the end of this year, and then we received the news just before the governing board meeting that the agreement was renewed, will be renewed for a further 4 years. And that is fantastic because as one board member, Antonio Benjamin, mentioned during our meetings, initially the agreements I think were for six months, and then it was for a year, and then 2 years. Anyway, now it's for 4 years. And in that regard, the Secretariat want to acknowledge the fact that Rob Fowler really led the negotiation with Julia Martin all along, and also so that thank you very much to our chair to have delivered what we think, I mean, is capital for the capital, I guess you could say that in English, or crucial, or for the organization, that license agreement. And also I want to underline also the support that we got all along from the Commission on Environmental Law under the leadership of Antonio Herman Benjamin and Sheila Abed, that were very supportive, helped us a lot, and as well as Alejandro Hiza from the Environmental Law Center. So I think that we're happy to be able to announce that. So that's good. Then the ELC Partnership Ecosystem Services Workshop. I think for those of you that were here on Saturday, I think you've seen really a great success in terms of that event. This was, I believe, I think it was the third workshop we have held in conjunction with the Colloquiums. There was great participation, And the good news also, I think, is that the result of that workshop, some of the papers that were presented at the workshop will be, I think, will appear in the next issue of the Electronic Journal. So really the idea is to organize a workshop and then to select some of those papers for the Electronic Journal. And Elizabeth Kirk will talk to you a bit more about the Electronic Journal in a few minutes. And also it will feed in the next Congress of the IUCN in September. So I think we can look forward to a great contribution of the Academy on the topic of ecosystem services. So I want to underline, one, the contribution of the Environmental Law Center and the Commission of the Environmental Law, which are our partners in that regard, and also all the work that was done by the Research Committee, and in particular there was the task of Melissa Power, who really did an amazing job in terms of organizing this workshop. And in particular, Melissa asked for all the presenters to prepare their papers in advance, and thanks also to all the presenters, because that was, they had a deadline to meet. So thank you very much to all the participants and to the organizers, Melissa, and also Louise Gagné. So I think we should. Well, thank you very much. And well, then the World Conservation Congress in Jeju, South Korea, September 2012. And I know that Melissa, maybe you want to say a few words with regard to the feed-in, with regard to the ecosystem services and the World Conservation Congress. And is Lee Paddock in the room too? Maybe you should say just a few words of the activities that are organized with the Congress, right?
As much as I know about it.
Okay, so you want to say just a few, Melissa? Okay, that's good, yeah. Do you want to come here? Maybe it's easier. So that... And Rob, you want to add something?
So, about all the events or the general, the workshop outcomes? Because we have...
Whatever you think it's...
So, hello everyone. So, as Yves said, we are happy with the workshop that we organized. So in Jeju, we're going to be following up on the ecosystem services workshop that we organized and developing an event on rights-based approaches to conservation. So it's going to be a day-long event, and we're going to be talking about some of the main questions that we addressed on Saturday. So there are also other events that we're organizing together with the Law Center and the Academy, such as the ones that are listed up here, so on soils and climate change events on adaptation and REDD+. So I don't know how many of you will be in Korea, but I hope to see you there.
That's the active one. And the other thing that we're doing right now is preparing a book proposal that's going to explore some of the issues that we covered in the workshop. We're going to expand, though, the contributors beyond those who contributed to the workshop. So if you have been exploring ecosystem services or are interested in exploring ecosystem services, we're going to be doing a follow-up call for papers. And we're eager to have contributions from a number of countries, a number of scholars looking at a number of different approaches, covering things such as the risks inherent in ecosystem services, valuation, payments of ecosystem services, and aspects of the use of ecosystem services in both developed countries and developing countries. So we'll be sending out call for papers regarding that. And also, if you already know that you're interested in contributing, please come and talk to either me or Louisa. The other thing that I wanted to say about Jeju is that if you are planning on going there and are interested in ecosystem services, we'd love to fold you into what we're planning to do. So please come and talk to us as well, just so that we can start the conversation and get everybody on the same page. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Well, as was mentioned, there is a session, which is a full-day session. One of the, I'm not sure what IUCN is calling them, but they're a full-day session on environmental protection and human rights in Jeju. I don't know much about what that schedule is going to look like. I understand Dinah Shelton will be there as part of the presentation. As many of you know, she just completed a year ago a book on environmental protection and human rights. I think Dinah is also going to be recognized in some award ceremony at Jeju. I think that's all set, but I don't know much about the agenda for the day.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a good segue, I guess, to just say, well, two things. One, the Secretariat, we have agreed at the board that we will send around the program, the information on the Congress as we get it. And maybe I should ask, with a show of hands, who at this point plan to be attending the Congress? Okay, well, that's... Okay, so, thank you. Yeah. So that's a nice picture here, taken by Jamie Benedictson in front of the Natural Science Museum in Ottawa, and we had Julia Martin-Lefevre, and if I could put the big focus on her face, you'll see she's smiling proudly because she's holding the EBA Environmental Law Section Award 2011 that was given to the Academy, and as soon as she was aware of that, she sent us a letter of congratulations, and I guess we just wanted to, we were very proud, I'm sure like you all are, that of these recognitions by the EBA, and we just wanted to mention that this happened in the last year. So there we go. There were a number of fundraising initiatives undertaken in the last year, and again, I should be remiss if I wouldn't underline that certainly a good number of them were undertaken under the leadership of Jamie Benedictson with IDRC, International Development Research Council, Social Science and Humanities Research Council, Canada, India, Gates Foundation. Jamie really led those initiatives. These initiatives have not proven fruitful, but we will prepare a new initiative. But certainly what Jamie, I think if he was here, would have said, because he did say at the board meeting, he would have said that for him it was just the fact of communicating and exchanging and working with scholars within the Academy to put these projects together was one of his term, he said, one of his most satisfying experiences in the last few years. And he is sure that we will deliver on these at some point in the future. We have done the groundwork, and I think that it's looking promising. Likewise, well, I've been involved in the Environment Canada, and we keep calling them, and hopefully we'll get eventually well, some success with regard to that particular request. We were successful with the Law Foundation of Ontario to receive funding for third year. We had received commitment to fund us for 2 years, but the third year was not a fait accompli. So we prepared a report. The Law Foundation was, I think, very pleased with the report they received from the Academy, and therefore award us for third year $80,000. And the University of Ottawa matched that fund. What we did, in some cases, in year 2, for example, the contribution of the University of Ottawa came 40,000 from the common law section and 40,000 from the civil law section, because we have both sections at the University of Ottawa. But this year, I'm pleased to say that we approach central administration, and the president of the university, Alan Rock, and his team said, fine, we'll give you another 80,000. So that's, these two that's 160,000, which, as you will see later from the numbers, the budget of the Academy, that's a significant amount. So, but in any event, in terms of fundraising initiatives, I mean, I think that I think Rob will underline that maybe later in his comments, but we are certainly looking for suggestion all the time, and certainly we encourage you to communicate with us, and I guess I would say not to forget that when you put a proposal together, that the Academy can be an important motor, an important player in terms of potential results. So, well, publications. Well, first we'll start with the e-journal. We had an amazing last issue of the e-journal. Not only we had substantive articles, book reviews, but also we had the reports from 26 countries as to what was happening in environmental law in their countries, in these 26 countries, and I think it was over 300 pages. So that I think that was a real success. Interesting. Somebody mentioned to me during this colloquium, said, Yves, you know, maybe it would be a good idea in future colloquium to have at some point, maybe during an evening or something like that, people to report briefly, 5-10 minutes, on development in their country on environmental law, you know, in the last year. And I thought, well, this is a great idea, and it would certainly build up what we already have in the e-journal. But in any event, the work of the production of the e-journal is a collaboration with the Secretariat, in this case Winnie Caroute and Christopher Gagnon, our webmaster, and the formidable team that we have on the editorial committee of that journal, which is led, as you know, by Sandy Patterson, who unfortunately could not be with us. Sandy Patterson, and it's a duo with Elizabeth Kirk, and I would leave to Elizabeth to, and also, of course, the other members of the e-journal editorial committee, Paul Martin, David Audis, and I think at this point that's a team. Is that? Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So you know, Elizabeth, this is a good time maybe for you to come in and. You know, but as she walks in, I think we can all applaud that team. Great effort.
Thank you. And actually, we have a new member for our team. I'm just looking around to see if she's here. Solange Teles has just agreed to. Yeah, great. Thank you. Now confirmed to join the team, so thank you, Solange. So, yeah, Sandy sends his apologies. As I think many of you know, he injured his back on Friday and so was unable to fly here. So I'm sure you'd all like to join with me in wishing him a speedy recovery. So I'm really going to use this as an opportunity to call for contributions for the next issue. But maybe I should just say a few words about the e-journal, just for the sake of perhaps new members. It is an open access journal. It contains 4 types of contributions. There are substantive articles, the country reports, book reviews, and also short current developments articles. The substantive articles are subject to peer review, and we carry 3 or 4 of the substantive articles in an issue. Each year we have a theme for the substantive articles, and this next year our theme is going to overlap with the theme that the research committee chose for their colloquium, for the pre-workshop, I'll try again, from the pre-colloquium workshop. Jet lag's obviously hit. So our theme for the next issue will be ecosystem services, economic valuation and environmental equity, complementarity or contradictory. Now, as Melissa mentioned a few moments ago, there is a proposal to publish a book. So obviously this is giving people 2 opportunities to publish on the same theme. We are opening our call again to both the workshop participants and anybody else who is interested in publishing on this theme. I think from discussions that we've had with the research committee, there will be a slight difference in format in that the e-journal papers will be limited to 8,000 words, whereas I think the research committee are looking for longer papers. So if people are interested in publishing in one format or the other, then do please get in touch and discuss with us where you would prefer to publish. And also there may be some scope for one article perhaps to, maybe 1 or 2 articles to overlap between the publications. So do please get in touch. I would like to thank the contributors for the last issue for the excellent work that they did. And I'd particularly like to call on people who issued a country report in the previous issue, and I'm sort of looking at those that I can identify in the audience, and ask you if you would again like to submit, and we'd be very grateful to receive your submissions. So if you do have any questions, well, the call for papers is on the Academy's webpage. There is an email address by which you can contact Sandy or myself. There's a common email address, and that's again given on our webpage. Or you could use, if you know our direct emails, then do get in touch with us directly. Okay, thank you.
Well, I think, as you all know, in the last few years, we have a publisher who we work very closely, and that's Edward Elgar Publishing, and you've seen them all week. And I want to acknowledge here the presence of Ben Booth. Ben, stand up, please. And outside you have his colleague Tara Gorvin, who's a U.S. representative. Ben is based in the UK, and you know, I must say, from the point of view of the Secretariat, and I know that's the same thing in terms of the lead editors for each book. I mean, they really are wonderful to work with. And you know, everybody who has met Ben Booth here thinks, wow, what a great guy, you know. But the nice thing to know is that when you communicate, I find with EEP, they're all nice. So we really appreciate and value this relationship, and it's been a great year. I mean, Lee Paddock in previous year led the way in terms of the first book we published with EEP under a series. We had published previously under the leadership of Ben Richardson, Climate Change in Developing Countries, but we published last year the Compliance and Enforcement in Environmental Law, and then after that we have other books where we selected texts from various presenters, so and it will be the same obviously for this colloquium. So early last year, at the beginning of this year that we're just finishing now, yes, we had environmental law and sustainability after Rio, so it's still very topical, and I'm pleased to say that we have one of the editor here, Antonio Herman Benjamin, and the other ones were Jimmy Dixon, Ben Boer, and Karen Morrow. So this has been published less than a year ago. So that's one. And then after that, we had under the leadership and efficiency of Paul Martin, he managed to get the 2009 selected papers from Wuhan out, and it's called Environmental Governance and Sustainability. So Paul is here, and we have Lee Shipping. I think Lee is here also. Quinn Timbo, Alain Duplessis, and myself. So so that's out, and then finally, I was really pleased that Ben brought with him the last one to be published. Just I don't even know if it's out. I mean, it's here, but it's going to hit the market soon. Poverty alleviation and environmental law with Miriam Alfie Cohen, Jose Juan Gonzalez Marquez, Albert Muma, Susan Smith, and someone else which I won't name because otherwise I would be accused of self-promotion. So. And you know, so that's those are great, and we have the selected papers from Ghent are well on the way. It's under the leadership of Frank Mays and and Pliquette, I think, is here too, and is working closely with Frank. And we have Michael Kidd, who's leading the way for the book that will come out of South Africa in 2011. So hopefully, by the time we meet next year in Waikato in June, we will have six books in this series. And then as soon as this colloquium is over, Bob Percival, Bill Permitiet, as well as Jolene Lynn will start to work on the book from Maryland. But we know for sure that we will have one more book in the series, and that's a book edited by Ben Richardson, Local Climate Law. And I should say that Ben did an amazing, while Paul was really fast with his book, Ben did his in 9 months. So that's going to be hard to beat in the future. So congratulations. And I think Ben, that will be out in about I'm looking at Ben and Ben, 3 weeks to a month, right? More or less. So this is, so it's going really well in terms of publishing. Thank you. Okay, financial overview. So basically, revenues. So we started the year with carry over. I believe there was one. Trying to remember the number. Pardon me? $168,000. This is what we started the year with. And by the way, it was a big carry over. But part of the reasons for that is because from the endowment we set up at the University of Ottawa, we received just before the end of the previous year $80,000. So in other words, just before the year ended, $80,000, which we put to use for this year. And I should also say that according to the terms of the agreement with the donor, that while the interest generated by that donation is $80,000 per year, the first $50,000 is for graduate students from a member institution of the Academy, preferably from a developing country, to study one year at University of Ottawa. But that leaves $65,000 to the Academy. And then we had revenues from the Law Foundation of Ontario, membership about $20,000. We hope that can be $35,000 in the future. The Faculty of Law at the University of Ottawa. So all of this say that the total number of revenues, you see it here. The expenses were $193, and the carryover, therefore. So we have a good carryover for next year, to which we will, the $112,000. So for next year, you can add to that another $65,000 from the endowment that we'll be able to use, plus at least $20,000 from membership. So we'll probably for this year now we'll be able to function with $200,000. We think we're going to be fine for 2 years, but obviously eventually they'll be challenged down the road. Why? Because the Law Foundation of Ontario, we won't get that money anymore after this year. And of course, my own university, it's always a matter of negotiating, I guess, with what will be at the time a new dean, too. So that's the financial picture. So 6 numbers. Never know. Maybe one day we'll go to 7. Hopefully not 5. And wow, that's it. So.
Thank you, Eve, for that very detailed and thorough report. I guess as your chair, it's something of a pleasure to be able to report to you that I think you can see from what you've just had presented to you that how do we manage to do that? That's just a sneak preview of the next the next session. Won't you all please come along and hear? I'm going to take some questions now. Just before I do that, Dick, just to say a couple of things. That if we can get the technicians to remove that, I'm not sure what I did to.
It's gone.
It's gone. I'm seeing it on the screen here. Right, okay, I'm seeing something else on the screen here. Sorry, you probably didn't see what I said. Just to say again that I think the report indicates that the Academy is in robust health and that is to a very great degree due to the efforts of the Secretariat. We acknowledged already the wonderful efforts of Winnie Carruth in relation to membership, but I want to pay a particular tribute now to the efforts of our co-directors, Yves Le Bertillier and Jamie Bennett-Dixon, who've worked assiduously throughout the year to deliver the results we've just seen. So even to Jamie in his absence, I think they deserve a very rousing round of applause. I'd like to also just make another acknowledgement, which is to the co-chairs of the committees that you've heard mentioned. We've already acknowledged the role of Elizabeth Kirk and Sandy Patterson, I think, with respect to the e-journal. But I also want to pay tribute to the efforts of our co-chairs, firstly for the Research Committee, where Melissa Powers and Wilhelmine Duplessis have done a wonderful job. And secondly, in relation to our Teaching and Capacity Building Committee, which we revived this year with some new membership under the leadership of Maria Marquez and Sophie Riley. Again, we see some very good outcomes coming from their work as well, and I think we're very pleased to see that result. So with those comments, I'm now happy to take some questions from the floor, and I can see Dick Ottinger raising his arm. I'm not sure if we've got a microphone, Dick. It might... Okay.
First thing I want to do is to congratulate Rob Fowler for doing a splendid job as chair.
Thank you, Dick.
The second thing I want to do is to inquire, because I've got to go hear the renewable energy panel and hear my former student, David Hodis, Professor Widener, give his presentation, but there's no room number on the program.
Well, you're in it. It's right here.
It's here. Okay.
Yeah. It's this room. Well, that was easy. If all the questions are as easy as that, we'll be fine. Are there any other questions from members about any aspect of the Secretariat's report to you? No? All content? Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I think what I will do is just move to make a few remarks of my own in relation to the general state of the Academy. As I said to you before, there is certainly, I think, a very good reason to be proud of where the Academy has come over the past 10 years. And in fact, in our last board meeting on Friday, we received a report prepared by the Secretariat which basically reviewed the achievements of the last 10 years in the various phases that we've gone through, from back in Shanghai having a colloquium and a very energetic chair and a new governing board that still has people from who were present then on the board here today. I think Wang Shi and Lai Lin Heng were right there from the beginning as well. To the point now where, as you can see, we have a very significant structure. The Academy is now, in terms of its governance, in very solid shape. We have excellent committees with many of you contributing, and we hope to continue to encourage more of you to engage with the Academy through our committees in various ways to provide those opportunities to you. I would say, from a strategic level, that there are three challenges that, as an Academy, we face going forward from here. The first one is what I would describe as membership retention. I think we have to be sure that we continue to meet the expectations of our members and to satisfy you that it is indeed a valuable thing to be a member of this Academy. It's a reciprocal relationship, because also we ask of you, of course, that you see your membership of the Academy as also an opportunity to contribute not only to the Academy but to the advancement of the teaching and research in environmental law and scholarship around the world. And so it is a two-way relationship, but I think it's something that we have to keep in mind, particularly as Winnie mentioned, that there is, I think, for some members a real question about the financial capacity to continue to meet membership fees. That is one of the reasons why we have prepared, with help from the chair of the membership committee, Lai Lin Heng, a questionnaire which has been circulated, and I would very much encourage you to give us your feedback on that, because we need to hear what your thoughts are around the question of fees. In some instances, I believe it can be the case that we have very enthusiastic scholars in their institutions who are very committed to their engagement with the Academy, but who may not not necessarily find that their deans or senior people in the university share that same enthusiasm, that they have to be persuaded that it is in fact a valuable investment for their institution to remain members. We need to know about these sorts of issues, and that's one of the reasons why the questionnaire has been circulated, and it's also seeking your feedback more generally on how you see your relationship with the Academy as a member institution. The second challenge is clearly in the area of finances. As Eve reported, we are in reasonable shape going forward from here for another year or two. But the reality is that beyond that, there is a great deal of uncertainty, and it's certainly my view that we have to continue to look for further support. We have to engage in projects that will help to underpin our operations, but we also need to look for further philanthropic support and to find some people out there in the community who are convinced that this is indeed a worthy institution that deserves some philanthropic support, and that may be forthcoming to the Academy to enrich the endowment that we already have. So I think for the board that is a major challenge now that we need to address with some urgency. The third and final challenge, I suppose, is the one of governance, essentially making sure that we have good succession planning in place in terms of the members of the governing board. And at this point I would like to acknowledge and pay tribute to the members of the governing board who've been a wonderful support to the Academy and to myself as chair, and to thank them for their efforts over the last few years as well. To the governing board. The other aspect of succession planning is, of course, the position of chair of the governing board, and I've advised the governing board recently at our meeting that it's my intention to step down at the end of this year after 5 years of service. I did a quick count earlier this year and noted that Nick Robinson, who I don't think we should count all the years beforehand, or exclude all the years beforehand, Nick served as chair for 5 years. This will now be, to my amazement, my 5th year. It doesn't feel like it's been anything like that long, but I think it's a good time for a turnover. It's time for fresh thoughts, fresh ideas and fresh leadership. And whilst I've just tremendously enjoyed the experience, I do think you can stay too long sometimes as well, and so I've chosen this time, which will be early next year when the new governing board is constituted with the elections for the 3 regions that Eve mentions, to step aside as chair. I should add that having been elected as the regional member for Oceania, I will be there for another 2 years, but I promise to be quiet in terms of whoever becomes the next chair, and not just simply offer support but not too much direction. So that's a matter that will need to be addressed early in the new year once that election has been held. Until such time, the chair of the governing board is elected from the members of the governing board, so we will not know the full composition until those regional elections have been completed next year, and at that time the transition will take place. And I'm sure we will find ourselves again well, I won't say again, I'm sure we will find ourselves probably in better hands than we are right now in terms of the next chair. Finally, I'd just like to talk a little bit about where we see the Academy heading from now. One of the things that I proposed in the governing board meeting was that, having received that excellent report on the past 10 years and the achievements and the accomplishments of that period, perhaps it's time for us to take a look at the next 10 years and try to think in somewhat of an envisioning way about where, as a governing board, we would like to see the Academy positioned in terms of all of its activities, from membership to teaching to research and to capacity building 10 years hence, and to work back from that to formulate a 3-year work plan. And that's a task that the board has committed to undertaking with the Secretariat, and it's one that I'm sure we will also seek to engage with you, our membership, in at the appropriate time, once we believe we have some good level documentation to share with you. In relation to... Goodness me, I'm throwing things around everywhere here. I think I've just broken the line. We'll see the technician later. My wife tells me I always talk with my hands, and she's just demonstrated that. In terms of that strategic planning process, some of the things that I think we will probably look at are the Training the Teachers project, how we can take that forward. At this stage, we have, I think, the makings of a very good project which has been trialled very successfully in China, but we need to find the ways to fund that project and deliver it in many other parts of the world and also back in China. And frankly, at this point, the only stopping point or stumbling block for us is to secure the relatively modest funds that are needed to take that project forward. In terms of teaching and research, in each context, members of the Governing Board have suggested that our focus should be on enhancing collaboration, more collaborative teaching work and more collaborative research, and I think we would see that as a very important goal to strive for over the next few years. There are two other things I think I would mention. In terms of the Academy's international profile, I feel it's a very important thing for us to begin to broaden our collaboration beyond the existing very good levels with IUCN, but also with other organisations such as INEAS and UNEP or perhaps FAO or whoever else we might see there are good coalitions of interest with in order to generate perhaps further projects out of those sorts of alliances. So I think looking to where we fit in the overall scheme of things in the international environmental law system is something that we must continue to do. I think also, hopefully, at some point in the future, we will find the capacity to engage more directly and more actively in international meetings on the environment, such as the conferences of parties around the Biodiversity Convention, the Climate Change Conventions, and many others. There are probably amongst you many who, in your areas of specialisation, would have an interest in and would actually intend to be taking part in some of these international meetings, and if we can find ways of reaching arrangements with you in that context, then in the future I think it may be possible for the Academy to be more actively involved, for example, in side events and various related activities at international meetings. And in that way our international profile, I would imagine, would grow quite considerably. The last thing I think that we will probably spend some time thinking about in the strategic planning context is the idea of having some greater level of activity at the regional level in the Academy. And this is something which at the first instance will probably fall back on the relevant regional board members to consider further. We would not in any way want to diminish the importance of this event, the Colloquium, because it is clearly our prime event and the best opportunity for us all to gather together. But there may well be a case for allowing for the possibility of other activities within a particular region or even a particular country, which the Academy itself endorses and supports in one way or another through promotion or other means. So those are just some of the things that I think we will be tossing around in the context of our strategic planning work, and we will share the fruits of those labours with you in due course once we go through that process. That's really all I have to say now. If there are no questions or comments on any of those matters, does anyone want to add something to what we've just talked about? This is the time to hear your thoughts. Michael Kidd.
Thanks, Rob. I know Dick has already proposed a vote of thanks to you for your chairing of the board. Obviously, the next time we meet as a collegium, if what Rob says is going to transpire, he's not going to be the chair of the board anymore. There'll be a new chair. So I think it's really important that we, as a body, pay tribute to the astute and energetic leadership that Rob has provided to the Academy in what has been a fairly difficult time. I've been on the board, well, by the end of this year, it will be 5 years, corresponding with the time that Rob has been the chair. And I spent, I think it was a year, at least a year as deputy chair. And I know that Rob thinks very deeply about a lot of the issues that the Academy faces. And we were involved in a number of Skype calls trying to strategize around various issues. And I know not only those strategic Skype calls between him and me, but also meetings with the Secretariat where we were all meeting at fairly civilized times of the day. But because of the rather obscure part of the world that Rob lives in, he was starting meetings at kind of 11 o'clock at night, and often we'd go on until nearly 1 o'clock. So he's put an enormous amount of effort in. He's dealt with various issues that the Academy and the Secretariat has had to face with, usually with quite a lot of wisdom and certainly a large degree of diplomacy. And I really think that the Academy is in a position today that it would not have been had it not been for the efforts and the very good leadership of Rob Fowler. So I personally feel a great debt of gratitude to you, and I think it wouldn't be presumptuous for me to say that everybody here in the room feels the same way. So Rob, we'll miss you. At least you'll still be on the board for another 2 years, but thank you for very much everything you've done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, now I am speechless. Well, look, thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate those words very deeply, and I do thank you for your support and your recognition. Thank you very much indeed. Lynn, did you?
You just have for any last comments or anything. You mentioned
Rob mentioned the origins of IUCN, and I just want to commend to everyone's attention. There are copies of this out front, the origins of the IUCN Academy of Environmental Law. It was written in 2003, and it gives a perspective from back then as to what the plan was and what they hoped, what you hope to accomplish going forward. It's interesting reading. And then I just want to also let you know that what we think is the first ever English-Chinese dictionary of environmental law terms will be coming out. It's already been sent to the publisher, but it'll be coming out later this year. And Edward Elgar has copies of this flyer if you're interested in acquiring it for your libraries.
Thank you, Lynn. There are just a few housekeeping things before we finish up. Just one most important thing is to ensure that you've all signed the attendance sheet before you leave, so that we can ensure, if you are a member of the Academy, sign the attendance sheet. So, well, no, sign it anyway, but we need to know who are the members of the Academy so that we can ensure we record everyone who is present for today's meeting. So if you haven't seen it, does anyone know where it is at the moment? Can we just, oh, it's right at the back of the room. So on the way out, if we just leave it there, sign it on the way out if you can, please. The second thing is the membership questionnaire, which, does anyone not have that who would like to complete it? Is there anyone out there who hasn't got a copy of it? Okay, well, if you can see Winnie, we'll make sure you get a copy of that. Can you please endeavour to return that either to Winnie or Eve or Jamie before you leave the colloquium, either now or otherwise. If you don't have time now, then to just make sure you get it to them before you leave. We'd be most grateful for that. And I think Bob Percival, is Bob? Yeah, you've got a couple of other things to tell us about, Bob, before we break. Thank you all, and we'll turn it over to Bob.
They've asked me to just give you a quick update on the plans for tonight. Tonight, you're free for dinner, but starting at 7 o'clock, we're going to have our film festival. And we issued a call for films. We have 5 short films that we're going to be showing, like 5 to 8 minutes in length. We have a couple of really wonderful groups of Brazilian students that submitted films. We have a film from China. We have a film from my students. And then we're going to conclude by showing the tribute celebrating Svetlana, the tribute to Svetlana Kravchenko that was done by one of John's former students. It's really extraordinary. That's from 7 to 8 here. Then at 8 o'clock, we're going to have our international wine tasting. We have more than 70 different wines. In addition to whatever wines you all brought. I know some of you, like Rob, have brought your favorite wines, and they'll be lined up from the light whites to the heavier whites to the rosés to the light reds, the heavier reds. So you just start at the right end of the table and go down. And we also have a traditional, this is a tradition that our program does every year with our alums. It's incredibly popular. And we also have a mystery wine contest where we'll have a wine that's in a decanter so you won't know what it is. You'll be asked to guess the year, the type of wine, and the country and specific region it's from, and there are special prizes to the people who come the close to guessing the wine successfully. We've heard that the weather forecast for tomorrow is like another big storm's coming in. We checked with the folks who run the cruise, and they say, no problem at all, because the boat is enclosed, so you don't have to be out on the deck. If it's raining, we're still going to be able to eat the crabs. We're still going to be able to see the fireworks. So the actual chance of rain is between 30 and 40%, so hopefully things will be fine. But that should be a great way for the culmination of it, because it's a spectacular fireworks display in downtown Baltimore, and that is the best seat in the house right on the harbor.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you all. Declare the collegiate closed.